brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Royals Field for Rogers TV sports exclusive coverage of New Brunswick Senior League Baseball. This game featuring the visiting St. John Alpines and the hometown Fredericton Royals. Joined once again by former Fredericton senior player Rob Arnold. Rob, here we have second place on the line here tonight. Yeah, I think there's maybe a little bit of a Rogers curse. A few games here this year that have been Rogers games have been had some rain involved, and special night here at Royals Field, being the very last senior game of the season on the schedule. Also honoring a longtime coach here, Jamie Esty, going into the Royals Hall of Fame, where he will join some legends on that wall out there. And certainly the entire Esty family part of the Royals legacy here in Marysville. I certainly remember Jamie's parents around the ball diamond all the time, the siblings around, and Jamie, of course, 12 years coaching, 8 provincial championships, and 3 national bronze medals is pretty impressive in itself. He will go into the Royals Hall of Fame, joining Scott Harvey Sr. and Jr., Bill Buzzard Saunders, Chris Father McPherson, Kurt Moore, and Don Johnson. And anyone familiar with senior baseball in New Brunswick and Fredericton baseball history knows all of those names for sure.
Yep, they're definitely the Esty name is known, synonymous with senior baseball. Joel and Danny had impressive careers. Jamie's was impressive as a coach, but he was injured. I think he might have only had a year or two in senior ball when he had a weight training incident, and that was the end of his career. Essentially, his shoulder was done for. But he's been around since, and I don't think he's missed a year.
We see there on the field, entire Esty family gathered, and some presentations occurring.
Brian would be watching from above.
That's most definite.
The legend, Jamie Bucky Esty.
And Bucky, as everyone knows, is a fairly quiet individual. I'm told he's going to say a few words here tonight, and with Bucky, I would expect it's probably a very few words that we'll hear.
He told me Monday night that he had a few.
We'd like to call on Royals veterans Dave Bahr and Mike Washburn to present Jamie with a gift on behalf of the players.
He looks a lot like his dad, actually. Jamie does.
Presented there with, I believe that's a bat, some Royals gear.
Nice gesture on the part of the Royals. Recognize him. Certainly deserve it.
And certainly maybe a little one up on Danny and Joel, who do not have their numbers out there. Certainly, I'm sure that will come up in family conversation more than once.
I'm sure that they both had stellar careers. I played ball with both of them, actually. My couple of years of senior ball, they were here then. Towards the end of Danny's career, Joel played a few more after that.
And now we see a framed number 5 jersey.
And now at this time, we'd like to give Jamie the opportunity to say a few words.
And if we can hear this, folks at home, we'll listen to what he says. If not, we'll keep going.
First off, I would like to thank the Royals executive, Jody Peterson, Christian Dewar, Mike Quint, Bill Saunders, and Mark Sibley for this great honor tonight. Thank you very much. It means a lot. the past and present Royals. We've had a lot of good times together. We made some wonderful memories together, along with a few championships. I was just lucky enough to have a front row seat for a lot of them. Thanks, guys. As a player and coach, I've not only made a lot of good friends with the Royals family, but with numerous coaches and players of the league. So to St. John, Moncton, PEI, and Chatham, I tip my hat to you. To all the fans and sponsors, thanks for your support through all the years, and it still is continued, and thank you very much for that. Royals baseball could not survive without you. Thank you. To my girlfriend Sally, who spent a lot of lonely nights by herself while I was away coaching, doing what I love to do. Thank you. I love you, Dave. I should get some brownie points for saying that in front of all you guys, huh? And finally, I share this night with my family. They deserve this night probably more than me. They've done a lot for baseball. Not just at the senior level, but at all levels of baseball. For a countless number of years, I share this recognition in this night with them. So good luck to the Royals and their pickups as they go to Victoria next week, trying to win a gold medal. And thank you again for this special night. Thank you.
And there, Rob, the emotion of being a volunteer in the community with the team. That happens all around this league, and that's one of the special things about New Brunswick Senior Baseball.
Sure is. We would like to give Jamie the opportunity to throw out the ceremonial first pitch to his brother, Danny S.C.
Quite an emotional moment for Jamie, obviously, and for his family as well. And I know his dad would be proud, very proud. Danny hasn't been behind that plate in a few years.
That one would be just a bit high. Let's go back to the game just a bit, Rob. This certainly is for second place, as we talked about season series between these two. Not a lot to choose from. St. John leads the season series 4-3, with each team having scored exactly 24 runs. So a win here would bring the Royals tied, and of course would win second place on run differential. As we were saying, just as we're going into Canada, talking about this game being, of course, for second place. Schedule makers in this league couldn't have drawn it up any better. What happened in this last week, Rob, and have to be very pleased with the overall parity. Looking at all the teams across the league, Moncton and Charlottetown had meaningful games earlier in the week for 4th, 5th, and who is going to host that first round series. And going into last night's game, in the Miramichi, Fredericton had a chance to make this game here tonight into a first place game. Lost on, of course, the dramatic bottom of the sixth, pinch hit, first pitch, home run off the import Kramer by Levi of the Ironman to clinch first place for the Ironman. Give them the 19-13 record, turning around the 13-19 they had last year to take first. The second-third matchup will be St. John and Fredericton. Of course, home field will be decided here tonight. And also a few other things going on. This is the last tune-up game for Fredericton and the pickups that they've added from St. John before the Nationals. And we're also going to get a look at the League Triple Crown winner, which will be the third time Triple Crown winner, of course, barring an absolute magical game by somebody that overtakes him in some of the categories here tonight on the St. John side. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Mike Washburn is going to take home his third Triple Crown here tonight as well. So lots going on here. Pitching matchup tonight. Colby Lyles pitching for the Fredericton Royals, and Brooks Saunders grew up just short distance here from Baseball Hill, going for the St. John Alpines. This game was billed for a while as import Jack Shannon, who would have had a chance at the pitching Triple Crown if he were to get his 7th win here tonight, going for the Alpines. Told that he has a bit of an injury and won't be making that start as had previously been announced and talked about.
I believe Brooks is he's been tough this year on the mound. What I've seen of him pitch, he's been pretty good. And there's a lot more involved in this game in the way of pride and some other elements as a home game advantage for the playoffs.
Shoot the thrill work.
Royals taking the field for the game. Colby Lyles not faced St. John this year.
Actually recognized Colby from the from the weight room, as we were talking about our last coverage about these guys in the off season and training regimens and things like that. Many of these faces that I know by when I see them, but they're definitely gym guys. I recognize most of them from there.
Lyle comes into the game with a 2-6 record, 5.55 earned run average, 28 Ks versus 17 base on balls, and 35 2/3 innings.
Seems to have the breaking ball going pretty good so far here in warm-up. Not a big guy, but I think he's fairly stocky and he's strong in the weight room. I've seen him. So he must have some strength down there somewhere.
St. John Alpine lineup. Scott May, the right fielder, Jack Shannon, the designated hitter, Devin Thomas at first base, Mark Phillips at third, Ron Barton in center field, Mark Legier left field, Dan Taylor at second, Adam Clark the shortstop, and Ryan Van Snick will be doing the catching. In the Royals defense, Dave Bahr in left, Corey Wood in center, Nick Gaudette in right field. Around the infield, Mike Washburn at third, Tanner Banks at short, Dave Crossman at second, Jody Peterson at first, behind the plate, Cory Cavanaugh, and pitching, as mentioned, Colby Lyles.
As we know, personal achievements is definitely not the number one thing here, but I'm sure Mr. Washburn would, in the back of his mind, is thinking about that Triple Crown, as any of us would. That'll be his impressive third if he takes this one tonight, which I don't, barring a complete collapse, I foresee him winning his third Triple Crown.
Opens with a strike called by home plate umpire Mark Thornton.
Just missed outside on that one.
Brandon Perry, the first base umpire, and Darren Scott at third. It's a ground ball to first base, and Peterson picks it up and will take that one for the unassisted push out. That'll bring up Jack Shannon. Robin, the doubleheader last Sunday in St. John versus Chatham. Shannon, 2 home runs, and I believe 5 RBIs, including the game-winning home run in that second game of the doubleheader to keep alive St. John's chances at the time for first. So certainly a little bit more strength at the plate than maybe most import pitchers you would expect. And the number 2 batter in the lineup and designated hitting here tonight.
He was obviously a good pickup for the Alpines. He's done a little bit of everything. His pitching has been
Ground ball
stellar.
second to Crossman. And the put out at first for the second out. So 2 ground ball outs to start here in the top of the first for the Alpines.
Only a few pitches thrown as well, which is good. Keep the pitch count down. I would imagine they'd like to get as many innings as they can out of it. Mr. Gaudette tonight. With the Nationals coming up.
First baseman Thomas takes the called strike. Thomas, I believe, Rob, leads the Alpines in home runs and RBIs.
He does indeed. 20 RBIs and 4 home runs. Good numbers. Solid hitter.
Takes that
The number 3 slot.
for the second strike.
He's tied with the import Jack Shannon for home runs at 4.
And a swinging strike to end the first. 2 ground balls and a swinging strikeout for Colby Lyles to start things off here for the Fredericton Royals. Coming up in the bottom of the first, we'll have the Royals coming to bat.
Everybody come along, everybody sing a song, lighten up and carry on. It's a brand new day. Everybody come along, everybody sing a song, lighten up and carry on. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day.
Bottom of the first inning here at Royals Field, New Brunswick Senior League Baseball on Rogers TV. Fredericton Royals hosting the St. John Alpines in a clash for second place. Fredericton-born Brooks Saunders on the hill here for the Alpines. And Rob, what's his numbers look like on the year?
Brooks has still 32 innings. He's one of the leaders on St. John's team. ERA is 5.63, a little higher than you'd like, I'm sure. One loss record of 2-3. Some of these stats can be deceiving, especially the ERA.
Banks takes the first strike.
This league, the senior league in general, the New Brunswick Senior League or New Brunswick, Nova Scotia Senior League, whatever they play in, there always tends to be a lot of hitting. Some years there's lots of pitching.
Pop
like this
foul
year.
back at first for Thomas. A long run and good play.
Nice catch.
That one bounced. He did not catch that one.
I thought he caught it from where I was sitting, but I guess I missed that. My
That'll
apologies.
go for an 0-2 count.
That leaves Tanner with an 0-2 count. It's a close pitch to take.
Yeah, it's a tough one to take
With
that
2
one.
strikes.
For sure. Banks digs in. And that one is a ground ball to second base.
Booted at
Bobbled by
shortstop.
Clark. And that'll put Bank on the E6.
Now batting, the left fielder, number 9, Dave Bahr.
Bring up Dave Bahr. Dave Bahr having another Dave Bahr-like season. Rob certainly average up over 300, I believe second on the team. at 330 something last count, 386. Second on the team, so pushing 400 in average.
Mr. Bahr is as solid as any hitter I've ever seen in this league over the years. Consistency-wise, he's money in the bank most nights.
Check on first base. Of course, Banks back easily.
Banks got quite a lead over there at first. Not showing a lot of respect for Brooks Saunders' move at this point, but maybe he knows something we don't.
Takes that for a ball. Banks leading the Royals team with 10 steals.
Yeah, the next closest to him is Corey Wood with 5, so Tanner clearly the base stealer of the team.
And back again. A little quicker move that time.
Yeah. He's got a solid lead over there.
And there you see the dust blowing up from the field, Rob. We desperately need rain, but we hope for the sake of the broadcast tonight that it holds off here at least maybe till 10 o'clock or so.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get the game, and then let's see it rain for a couple of days would be nice. The woods certainly need it. We don't need any forest fire, that's for sure.
Bahr thought that was low, called strike.
He didn't like that pitch.
Gets the signs from Coach Lint. See if maybe they put a hit and run or straight steal on here, Rob.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tanner or Banks is going on this pitch. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And he is. He's gone. And contact, solid contact. Oh, it hit him. It hit Tanner Banks on the leg. Automatic out for him.
Fielder's choice for Barton?
Yeah. That leaves Bahr at first, and that's just one of those
and
unfortunate.
Here we see the replay. Banks was going, and it was the hit and run on right through the hole. Everybody did everything right, except unfortunate, the ball hit hard right into Banks' feet for the first out.
That's one of those plays that rarely happens, but Tanner had tunnel vision running for second. He was going on the pitch, so he didn't have a chance to get out of the way of it, even if he did see it, which he didn't.
And here we have Washburn to the plate for the Royals. Washburn, as I said earlier, should be the winner of the Triple Crown, currently hitting .438, 9 home runs, 32 RBIs, also leads the league with 31 runs scored, and it would take, I believe, a miracle night from someone on the St. John side to catch him in either RBIs or home runs, and mathematically I'm not sure anyone is going to get enough bats to catch him in average. So
no, he's clearly the league's best hitter at this point. There's no questioning that. Solid hitter.
Up here with Bahr on first base, and he lashes that one into the outfield, and that is caught by Legier.
He hit it hard, but just the wrong spot.
Down on the F7.
The first baseman, number 3, Jody Peterson.
Jody currently hitting .319 as he comes up to the plate.
Jody, as we've talked about in previous broadcasts, back in a bit of a part-time role this year, not full-time to start the year, but has been at most games since he decided to come back. And that ball's in the dirt. Snick, the catcher, looks for it, and Bahr rounds second, but goes back.
Wild bounced.
Jody's got well over, he's got 9 RBIs, not bad for a part-time role, and 2 homers, hitting at .319.
Yeah, for a guy who thought the cleats were hanging up this year to come back and hit .319 and be at 9 RBIs and a couple home runs.
Yeah, and be able to contribute. It's
a testament to just how good a shape he keeps himself in. 3-0 here, so Saunders being very careful to Peterson. I think Peterson touched him up for a home run at one game here early in this year. I have to go back and look at that. Fouls that one back.
Got a good rip at that one.
And these are guys, of course, growing up who would have lived a mere couple minutes apart, and I'm sure they've done this very thing lots in terms of throwing the ball to one another.
We used to sneak in, and there was a lot of American played at this ball field.
There was a lot of American played at this ball field.
Stick ball. Chris Bubba McPherson used to be in on it quite often with us.
3-2, 2 out. Bahr at second. Brooks Saunders shakes off the first and second. Maybe even third and fourth before he gets the one that he wants for Peterson. And Peterson pops that one up on the infield for the shortstop Clark, who gobbles that up for the third out of the inning. So no hits, one error, and a pass ball on the part of the Alpines. Royals will leave one man on base and will go to the top of the second inning.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to over 2,000 out-of-market regular season games, with most games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack, the ultimate package for the hardcore sports fan. Order on Channel 431 today.
Tune in Sunday and cruise through New Brunswick's trails with a first-hand view from a quad vehicle. Learn about new trails and clubs for the ATV enthusiast. Quad NB, Sunday at 2 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Welcome back for the top of the second inning. Colby Lyles back to the mound for the Royals after getting 2 ground balls and a swinging strikeout in the first. Up for the Alpines, Mark Phillips at third, Barton in center field, and Legier in left field. Scheduled batters to start the inning for the Alpines.
My apologies to Colby Lyles. I referred to him as Gadet, and seeing him in the gymnasium in the weight room. I also see Mr. Gadet there, but I do see Colby Lyles there as well, strength training in the off season. He looks to be in quite good shape, I would say.
We talked about that a little bit on the last broadcast, Rob, in terms of the commitment that it takes to play senior ball or any athletics at this level, and players are in this for the most part for the fun and the competitiveness, and it's certainly great to see the dedication of Lyle and all the players in the senior league, of course, for sure.
Well, these guys, they work a regular job, most of them, and then to try to keep yourself in shape and keep your wife and family happy at home and be at the ballpark quite often, it's challenging.
So Phillips digs in and Lyle delivers from the stretch. Check swing and 1 ball, 1 strike. Did not go around. Phillips, of course, one of the top hitters for the Alpines, Rob, and over from Nova Scotia Senior League a few years ago.
Yeah, he's hitting 350, carrying 350 batting average coming in, 13 RBIs. That's pretty good. 1 homer. He's seen about 100 at-bats. That
was outside and low. Lyle with a little trouble with the mound.
So all you have to do is when we're in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Lyle sets, and Phillips steps out.
Phillips, one of what seem to be few and far between these days, a right-handed hitter, which years ago they were quite common. It seems like everybody's a left-handed hitter these days. I guess the reason I notice is I'm a right-handed batter.
I'm a right-handed hitter too, and I was always a little jealous of the lefties that were 1 step closer to first base.
I used to call myself a hitter. I guess I was a batter. Let's just put it that way.
That's grounded up the middle for Banks, and on the throw, lots of time to Peterson to retire Phillips. Third ground ball out of the night for the Alpines.
Colby Lyles not throwing a lot of pitches there. They're going after the fastball.
And that pitch was on the outside. Phillips runs hard, of course, checks the throw, and Banks in lots of time. Brings up Barton Centerfielder.
Ron's been around the league for quite a while. Can't say how many years, but he's been around for a while. It's about 100 at bats this year. He's carrying a 287 average. He does have 18 walks, and that's far ahead of anybody else on his team. So he must have a good eye at the plate. 14 ribbies as well, so pretty good season.
It's grounded up the middle. Second base. Crossman scoops that up and over to first.
That's a nice play.
That is a nice play up the middle on that one on the wrong side of the second base bag. So the infielders have been busy so far this evening. 4 of the 5 outs on the ground.
I would think this is exactly what the Royals would like to see out of Colby Lyles tonight. Not a lot of pitches thrown. They ideally don't have to go to any other arms. They've got the Nationals coming up. If he could go, get 4 or 5 innings out of him, they'd be more than happy, I would think. He's throwing well now.
Left fielder Legier in the hole now, 0-2.
Legier only carrying a 185 batting average. Does have 10 walks, but 80 plate appearances.
Bounce that one, check swing. And discussion at the plate about whether he actually attempted or not. Of course, no swing there. But several we've seen in the dirt, and Rob, we saw this again in the last game last Friday against Chatham. Cavanaugh again behind the plate. And that ball again bounces, and a good grab by Cavanaugh. Could be have a few bruises by the time this one is over. And Lyle sets again from the stretch. 3 balls, 1 strike. And he gets another swinging strike, so it looks a lot like the first inning. 2 ground balls out from the Alpines and a swinging strike again for Lyle. His second strikeout of the game will go to the bottom of the second with no score.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. Wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Tune in to Rogers TV this Sunday to get your exclusive inside look at the operation of the Magnetic Hill Zoo in Moncton. Host Hilary LeBlanc brings you behind the scenes and up close with the animal stars of this attraction. Zoo Files, Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Brooks Saunders back to the mound for the St. John Alpines here in the bottom of the second inning. Corey Wood, Cory Cavanaugh, and Dave Crossman due up for the Royals. Corey Wood comes into this one as probably the hottest hitter in the league. Comes in 7 for his last 8 with a home run and 7 RBIs. Of course, 4 for 4 last night in the game we had here. Last week he was 3 for 4 with 6 RBIs and the home run. So he's he's been on fire and heating up at the right time, of course, going into playoffs and into nationals for the Royals, and looking to continue that here. Certainly aggressive swinger and tough to beat with the fastball.
Yes, he comes in with 22 RBIs. It's pretty impressive, actually. 268 average, 80 at-bats. He 23 hits. He's and fairly speedy. He's got 6 doubles, which the only one with more is Tanner Banks, and he's got a lot of speed, so he's at the top of the order. Corey Wood had a heck of a game at the plate the other night. A pitching performance he'd like to have back, but that's in the past now.
And grounds out to Thomas at first base on that one. Cory Cavanaugh, Fredericton Jr. affiliate, catching here tonight, as he has the last few games for the Senior Royals.
He's in at an even 300 batting average. He, the last game here against Chatham, he was a defensive standout behind the plate. Stellar performance behind the plate.
It's outside for ball 1.
He ended the game by gunning out Ori Cork from Chatham the other night on the with 2 out, gunned him out at second.
That's going to fall for the first hit of the game in the center field for the single for Cavanaugh. Bring up Dave Crossman, and as stats go, Crossman has got a pretty good stat line as well, Rob, hitting over 300 at 315.
He is, and he has he's got a fairly good eye. He's got 11 walks, which is tied with Corey Wood in that manner, so he's got a good eye at the plate.
And brought very steady hands, as we've seen a couple times here tonight, to that second base position for the Royals. Fouls that one off.
Crossman, a former Stu Tommy hockey player as well, when that program was still running. They've since shut down operations, obviously, but
second strike to Cavanaugh. Just watching the second strike to Crossman. Just watching the runner Cavanaugh not taking a very big lead. A little more this time over at first.
That's the same with a lot of catchers. They're not known for blazing speed, most of them.
Crossman stays alive, fouling that one down the third baseline. Saunders way ahead here in the count.
Both pitchers have done a good job so far. They're staying around the plate, not walking people.
And pitching really has been St. John's trademark of the year. Pitching and run prevention. Sound defense behind them by the look of the numbers, at least, in terms of St. John.
Well, their import, Mr. Shannon, certainly doesn't hurt with a 1.25 ERA, 6-1 mark, win-loss in 64.2 innings pitched, and he has struck out 89 hitters in 64 innings. So obviously,
that one's back to the middle. Saunders off his glove, and down he goes.
Looks like he might have hurt something there.
Maybe a little injury for Saunders. That's not what anybody likes to see.
Seemed to come off the mound and trip as he went to play the ball.
And that may be a knee injury for Saunders. That's what it looks like from here.
Looked like he twisted his leg under him when he went down.
Get a look. He seems like he's okay. He says he's all right. He's a Marysville boy. He'll shake that one off probably.
Most of us do shake those things off.
Well, that's good for me to know, because I thought it was well within your...
Brooks grew up a stone's throw from this field. And his dad, Billy, we all know Billy Saunders.
Takes one throw to home plate to check to make sure, and he's good to go.
Seemed like his cleat might have caught the grass when he came off the mound to play that ball.
Tough play. I'm going to mark that as a single in my book. That may get changed by someone who's more official than me in the scorebook later on. We're going to give Crossman the single. That would be 2 singles here to put runners on first and second with 1 out. Cavanaugh second, Crossman at first. Right fielder Gadet to the plate. Takes that one high for ball 1.
Gadet's a 250 hitter. No home runs on the year. Not yet, at least.
Little zip on that fastball on the outside corner.
Yeah, I would expect Brooks will come right at him. Not to disrespect him, but he's not one of their big threats with the bat.
That's back through the middle. That bounced for 1 and 2, double play. Smart play at second base to get the double play. So we'll take 2 hits for the Royals in that inning. By my mark, 1 man left on base. Still scoreless here after 2 complete innings of play.
The elite of European sport rule on Sportsnet World. A new season means emerging challenges and reigning champions. Will dynasties fall? Sportsnet World brings you unparalleled coverage of the Premier League, Bundesliga, and a Viva Premiership. Supreme access to a tradition of excellence. Sportsnet World. Subscribe today.
Tune in this Monday and pin it for a high-octane behind-the-scenes look at the sport of motocross right here in the Maritimes. Host Jimmy Chamberlain is a seasoned vet and knows his way around and off the track. It's the Age of Motocross, Monday at 8:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Dan Taylor, Adam Clark, and Ryan Van Snick, the batters due here for the St. John Alpines in the top of the third. With Rob Arnold, I'm Bill Gibson. Rob, so far Colby Lyles done a good job controlling the St. John bats. 4 groundouts, 2 swinging strikeouts. Looking pretty good working out of the stretch here and seems to have good control.
He does. He's been around the plate all night. I'm not sure of his pitch count exactly, but he's definitely been around the plate. And he's thrown, I would say, as many breaking balls as he has fastballs, which is, it's a hard breaking ball. But he's been around the plate.
And Saunders, despite giving up a couple hits and facing a couple more batters than Lyle, has been equal to the task so far to have us scoreless here. And interesting play to end that second inning, the double play. Second baseman for St. John, Taylor, will come to the plate here, let that one bounce in front of him so he could turn the double play. Of course, knew who was running, and very smart play. Wasn't sure whether he's going to catch it in the air or let that bounce, but certainly heads-up play by Taylor.
Yeah, the ball wasn't hit terribly hard, and it made it the decision. If it was a harder hit ball, he would have never been able to pull that off. He would have had to have caught it. But that was a very intelligent play. Pull off the double play on that. Nice hands to do it. Oh, he took a rip there.
Good rip there on a good fastball, and Rob, this the 7, 8, 9 of the St. John lineup. Not the highest of batting averages for sure, but as we talked about, this St. John team really does it with defense. Timely hitting from the top of the order and pitching is really their trademark.
Mr. Taylor's a fine example of that. He's only hitting 145, but we see defensive plays like he just made. That double play, you know why he's in there.
Ahead in the count here against Lyle. 2 balls, 1 strike. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Last couple of fastballs that Colby Lyles has thrown, he looked like he might have taken a bit off. He might be throwing a little bit of an off-speed pitch. He fooled somebody on the... That's sharply hit.
Sharply hit right up the middle. Center fielder Wood will corral that one and get that back in to Banks at short. So Taylor with the first St. John hit here to open the third. Sharp single back up the middle.
Clark comes in at a 250 click.
And that pitch looked like it was right down the middle, right where he wanted it. Solidly contacted back up the middle. And of course, as soon as we talk about not being the highest average hitters in the bottom of this lineup, they'll probably all 3 get hits on us here, Rob.
Yeah, you never know. It's So much hitting in the senior league.
Again, back up the middle for Banks. Catches it, steps on second over to Peterson for the double play. So another double play ground ball there to erase that runner on the hit.
Taylor made one there.
Next up for St. John, the catcher, number 33, Ryan Van Snick.
That will bring Ryan Van Snick, the catcher, up. And here we see Banks. That ball beat into the dirt. Banks fields it. Lots of time on the relay to Peterson at first.
You see Van Snick comes in at a 242 clip batting average. He 62 at bats. He's on the light end of the hitters. He's got 1 home run on the year, a couple of RBIs. Has drawn 8 walks, which is pretty good for. You don't see a ton of walks in this league if you look through the statistics.
2 balls, 1 strike. Again, Lyle falling behind the number 9 hitter.
It's funny, you look at the ERAs from pitchers now, the present day senior league players, and compare them to back in the aluminum era.
Oh, there were a lot of long games here in the aluminum era, 9 innings, and aluminum bats. There was a lot of 13-12s, and then games like that just seemed very common. And even look back through some of the stats and some of the players from that era.
Mind-boggling, some of them. Well, there's the size of the kids now, the young guys coming up through, and the strength conditioning, things like that. I mean, you always had your Scott Harveys and your Paul Hodson and Brent Hallett's power hitters. Ian Rose, right-handed hitters, actually. I just realized that as I was listing them. But the aluminum bats, with these guys the size that they are and the shape they're in, the strength, those aluminum bats are dangerous. To play the corners especially would be challenging. The speed the ball would be coming at.
What game are you watching?
Van Snick draws the walk. Number 9 hitter that turns the lineup over, brings Scott May back to the plate for the second time here in the 3rd inning. May with the ground out unassisted to first baseman in the first, and that's a first pitch ground out. Shortstop Banks shovels it over to the second baseman Crossman for the 3rd out. St. John with 1 hit, 1 runner on left on base, and no score here after 2.5 innings at Royals Field.
Hey, reality stars, we've had enough. Enough ugly cry faces, inflated egos, confession cams, blind dates, naked dates, fantasy dates, hot tub dates, creepy roommates, cringe-worthy auditions, most dramatic anything ever. Enough. Move over, reality. It's been real. But the video stars are taking back TV. Music videos are back where they belong, on TV. Subscribe now.
Alpine 0-1, 1 hit on 1 Fredericton error. Royals 0 hits and 0 runs on 2 hits here in the first 2.5 innings of play. We'll have the bottom of the order for the Royals coming up against the St. John defense. Mark Legier in left, Ron Barton in center, Scott May in right. Across the infield, Mark Phillips at third, Adam Clark shortstop, Dan Taylor at second, Devin Thomas at first, Ryan Van Snick behind the plate, and of course Brooks Saunders pitching. And Rob, good to get that in as we've been talking about that St. John defense here for a bit.
Yeah, they're solid. They're what they give up at the plate in hitting statistics, they make up for defensively.
designated hitter Devin Boudelier to lead things off here for the Royals. Then we'll turn the lineup over. Banks, Bahr, and then Washburn if we get that far. Two balls and no strikes here to Devin Boudelier. Similar to the bottom of the St. John order, not an average in the 300s here for Boudelier. Of course, young player, not a lot of experience at the senior level.
He's had 20 at-bats this year. He's hitting 150.
And draws the walk there on Saunders. And that's danger for the St. John Alpines. The leadoff walk to the number 9 hitter. And here we come with some of the big boys here for Fredericton. Banks, Bahr, Washburn.
Yeah, this part of the order is as dangerous as any part on any team in this league. Fredericton's hitting lineup from here, the top, to pretty much all the way down. It's a dangerous lineup. They can hurt you. So losing that number 9, I don't imagine Brooks would be very pleased with that.
And of course, opens up lots of possibilities again for hit and run or moving the runner over. And Boudelier, he's a pretty versatile player, may have a bit of speed over there at first. Certainly a healthy lead and fakes going.
He's not a big guy, but he looks to be fairly fleet-footed, as they say. I doubt they want to take the bat out of Tanner's hands at this point with a 0-0 game. You never know.
And Rob Tanner quietly made himself into a, maybe not so quietly, but made himself into a player here, sort of the next generation leaders of this group of Royals coming through, taking that leadoff spot and making it his own here for sure. And it's a spot he could stay in for quite some time for this Royals team.
Yes, it is. Unfortunately, went down there.
Now entering the batter's box. Let's hear it for your left fielder, number 9, Dave Bahr.
Brings up the ever dangerous Dave Bahr.
Getting Tanner was Tanner Banks. That was a big out for Brooks, especially with that runner on. But it's no break to have Dave Bahr coming. And
Bahr.
Washburn following him. That's some pitcher's nightmare, I guess.
Bahr reached on the fielder's choice in the first one. That's up the middle. And shortstop Clark gets the out at second base.
So let's see what our Triple Crown leader has tonight, his second at-bat.
And Bahr again reaches on the fielder's choice for the second time. Of course, in the first inning, the one off of Banks. The dead ball out to go as a fielder's choice, if I know my baseball scoring rules correctly. And certainly, of course, speaking of that, Rob, thanks go out, of course, to all those across the league statistician especially, for keeping all of the stats updated to allow guys like you and me to go on a daily basis on the website and to be able to talk about all the numbers here tonight. Of course, that's where they come from, is the league website, and certainly a lot of work goes into keeping those up, and appreciate that, be able to bring them to the folks here on Rogers TV. And Washburn gets into that one down the line. That is off the base of the wall.
Could be a loud
Bahr is
single.
digging for third, and that will be a really long single for Washburn.
Hit that very hard. Could have hung clothes on it, as they say.
Your next batter, to the plate.
Bahr running hard, and Bahr thinks maybe he should have scored on that one, just based on how hard it was hit. He's kicking himself. Never likes to make the wrong decisions out there.
But again, Jody coming up, you don't want to get thrown out at the plate. You don't want to take the bat out of his hands either. So it's
Peterson with a fly out to the shortstop to end the first inning, and he takes that one outside, get ahead of Saunders. Saunders was very careful with him in the first before running a little bit deeper count.
That looked like a breaking ball, that first pitch that didn't break quite as much as you would have liked. So Jody's A 2-0 count. Could see a good pitch here.
And Washburn goes and fake throw, and they'll just let him take second base. So a stolen base for Washburn with no throw down. Put runners at second and third. Dave Bahr at third, Mike Washburn at second. Jody Peterson up 2 out here in the
I thought that was a
bottom
strike.
of the
It was
third.
right down the pipe. I was surprised the umpire didn't indicate.
That takes the count to 3-1, so Peterson will be looking for one he can drive here for sure with 2 runners on and 2 out. And if not, he gets another pitch. And there is one.
Goes
Peterson
the other
drives,
way.
goes the other way for the fly ball, and nice sliding catch in the outfield by Legier.
Again, that St. John defense. Can't take anything away from them.
1 hit.
So Fredericton has 1 hit, the long single off the base of the wall by Mike Washburn. They will leave 2 runners on. We'll go to the top of the 4th inning in a scoreless draw.
Did I ever tell you guys the story of how
That guy almost ripped my shirt off.
I come here to drown my sorrows. You're fresh. I'm gonna cut some pancetta. Am I right, bro?
I can't decide how many powers you'd need to have to be more important than folk music.
I'm just going to saw this log while you continue to talk. I've been through a lot of accidents in my life, almost more than I can tell. And scene.
Cheese Monkey Box Pirate, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
St. John import Jack Shannon to lead off the top of the 4th inning. Followed by Devin Thomas and Mark Phillips here at Royals Field. No score. St. John Alpines visiting the Fredericton Royals. Colby Lyles so far has been cruising for the most part, giving up only 1 hit here to the Alpines. Shannon had to ground out to second base for the second out of the game in the 1st inning. Gets his second at bat.
Number 23 in the DH, Jack Shannon.
Shannon steps in.
What's your number? 143. That's you. Okay. Here you go, man. Oh, sorry, brother.
And that is down in the dirt
It's a gift card
for ball 1 from Lyle to Shannon. And that's going to be a high ball 2. That's going to go for ball 3. Lyle struggling with control here to start this inning against the import, and don't want to put him on with some of the dangerous bats of the Alpines due up in Devin Thomas and Mark Phillips. In there with the strike. Shannon, of course, the import from California, as we talked about, pitching star, graduated University of San Diego in 2013, bounced around the globe actually, pursuing baseball since then. Australia, several stops in Europe, including German Bundesliga last year as a stop before landing with the St. John Alpines as their import and ace here this year. That's fouled back off the screen. Lyle fights back to 3-2. And Shannon does have a bit of power. 4 home runs on the year, and 2 of them coming in that last home game of the Alpines against the Ironmen on Sunday. And he will go down swinging here on that pitch. Colby Lyles will sit him down to bring up Devin Thomas. Thomas, one of the pickups for the Fredericton Royals in their trip to Nationals. And we'll talk a bit more at some point here about the Nationals and the list of pickups that they have from the St. John team: Devin Thomas, Mark Phillips, and Sean O'Toole. And we'll talk a bit more about that as this broadcast goes on, in terms of what Nationals mean and the team Fredericton is taking as an New representative. Thomas now quickly behind 0-2, so once Lyle found the strike zone here in this second inning, he's been able to fairly consistently throw the strikes, and another strikeout there. And thrown out at first base is Thomas. Bill Gibson with Rob Arnold here at Royals Field. Rob, 2 quick outs here by the strikeout for Lyle to start the 4th.
He's doing exactly what they want and what they need from him.
That's a ground ball from Phillips to third baseman Washburn with the quick throw. Peterson with the catch and attempted tag. Throw draws Peterson off.
Yeah, I would say that was a base hit. Tough play.
I think that's a tough play on both parts, and happy to give a base hit to the batter there. Charging Washburn couldn't quite make that play. You see Peterson and Phillips.
Mr. Barton, the veteran, senior league veteran.
Grounded out to second base in the second inning, and here we see the Royals in a bit of a defensive shift. Washburn way over in the shortstop hole. Crossman into the outfield, and Banks on the wrong side of second as that pitch goes into the dirt, and the runner will advance on a wild pitch on that one, I believe, Rob?
I believe so, and Ron Barton's got 14 RBIs on the season and a couple of home runs. He's as well as 10 walks, which leads his team, hitting at a 287 clip. Not bad numbers for an old guy.
And outfielders are deep, so a single here would score that run, and that's ripped down the right field line foul. And Nick Godet will retrieve that into the corner. Good look at some of the fans here tonight, Rob. A decent crowd here for this last Friday night home game.
Actually, a real good crowd.
Phillips on second, a 1-1 count here to Barton. Lyle consistently from the stretch all game here.
Some guys are just more comfortable throwing from there. And he throws fairly hard. He's not a big guy, but he does bring pretty good heat.
And of course, in tune-up for the Nationals, you would probably expect that any Colby Lyles pitching performance at Nationals would likely be in relief. Would be my guess. I certainly wouldn't want to be the one, guessing the lineup ahead of time. But looking at the pitchers that are going, it would probably be in relief. So having him pitch out of the stretch, certainly a good tune-up for that. Of course, count here 3-1 to the dangerous hitter Barton.
There's no question the Nationals pitching is the biggest thing, and the Royals definitely have a good staff going with their pickups as well as their own. And Mr. Lyle will be called upon to eat up some innings, possibly, or in relief appearance, just because he's the right guy to go to. That's up to the coaches.
Barton aboard on the base on balls, and I'm not exactly sure, as Lyle was, where that last pitch was.
Lyle didn't like it.
Maybe down and in a little bit.
Awful close to take, but he did have a 3-1 count, so.
I have the best view and the worst view in the park at the same time. There's a big post that blocks off half the catcher and most of home plate from my vantage point, so I'm peeking around the post for a lot of pitches here, folks. So
nice breaking ball there.
That's why I'm not always sure whether it's over the plate or not.
Pretty much an unhittable pitch right there.
St. John with 2 on here, threatening to score the game's first run, 2 out in the top of the 4th.
And there's Lyle coming right back at him with the fastball. That's what he's done all night. Throwing a lot of breaking balls, but when he gets down in the counter behind, he's coming right at them with the fastball, and they haven't really taken advantage of it.
Lazier, who made that nice catch in left field on the Peterson fly ball to end the last inning. Lyle misses with that pitch.
Lyle's throwing hard. That's coming in pretty good, but he might be overthrown a little bit right now. Missing the strike zone.
Bounces that one again, and a good block by Cavanaugh.
Cavanaugh he's really impressed me defensively last game and this game that we worked, and impressive.
Doesn't have to come with a strike here, Rob. But he does anyway with a nice breaking ball. Gets him looking. That will be 3 strikeouts in the inning and 5 on the game for Lyle to end the St. John threat here in the top of the 4th. 1 hit for St. John, 2 men left on. We're still scoreless going to the bottom of the 4th.
Tune in to Rogers TV for Jared and the Storytellers, and hear some of the best musical talent New Brunswick has to offer. Join songwriter Jared Lutz as he hosts, performs, and interviews musicians during each episode, with a lighthearted approach and a focus on songs and the stories behind them. Jared and the Storytellers will have you craving for more homegrown music on Rogers TV.
Fans in Fredericton being treated to a scoreless tie here so far as we go to the bottom of the 4th. St. John Alpines visiting the Fredericton Royals. Rogers TV coverage of New Brunswick Senior League Baseball. Rob, we're bringing up Cory Wood here. Of course, Wood, very hot hitter, as we mentioned in his first at-bat, where he grounded back to the first baseman for the first out of the 2nd. Wood here against Saunders. And so far, Rob, as we've talked about off the top of the show, not a lot to choose from between these 2 teams in the season series, and not a lot to choose from so far in the this ball game.
No, the St. John defense has really impressed me tonight. The Fredericton's hitting the ball hard, but they're just St. John's finding a way. Cory Wood with 22 RBIs on the season. Very, very good. Of course, he had 6 or 7 in the last game against Chatham alone, so that brought his numbers up. But solid season at the plate. Hitting just under 300. Just hitting just under 300. 4 home runs. Solid season at the plate.
And he rips that one to second base. Taylor gobbles that up and throws him out to Devin Thomas at first. Wood goes down on the 4-3 for the first out here of the bottom of the 4th.
Catcher, number 49, Cory Cavanaugh.
And again, nothing fancy about St. John. They just they get it done defensively. Not flashy. They just make the basic fundamental plays, and it works for them.
And Saunders, off that stumble in the mound in the last inning, Rob, seems to have settled down and looks okay.
Yeah. I think Fredericton would be it would be a good idea if they started to take a few pitches. So Brooks may be tiring at this point. And maybe he's not, but again, he's thrown from the stretch as well. Just noticed. That's base hit.
Cavanaugh laces his second hit of the game. And he's trying for a second. That's going to be a close play, but he's in with the stand-up double.
Solid double to the gap between right center.
Now entering the batter's box, keep your hands together for the second baseman, number 2, Dave Crossman.
Rob, when that was hit, I thought that was just a signal for sure and didn't think he had a chance at second, but certainly he legged out that double very well and had a little more powder on that ball than I thought when it left the bat for sure.
Yeah, he hit
Here we
it
have
sharp.
a good look at that. He makes good contact on that low pitch, and that's why even when he's running out of the box, I wasn't sure. And he gets to first in there. He turns it on right there, realizes he can get to second, and does so certainly easier than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, I don't think he's the speediest guy on the team by any means. No offense to Mr. Cavanaugh. But again, I think the Royals have to be a little more patient at the plate here and get Brooks working, maybe tire him out a little bit. There wasn't much on that fastball that Cory Cavanaugh just hit. There was when he hit it, but not when it was coming in, I guess is the best way to put that.
Crossman fouls that one back.
Crossman hitting over 300. 315. He also has 11 walks, so he's patient at the plate as well. He's got 1 homer on the season, but he does have 23 hits, so he's a good hitter.
So Saunders, Rob, faced the Royals twice before this year. On June 21st, he went 5 innings. On July 28th, he went 6 innings. A win and a loss, respectively, in those games. So
he just got Crossman on a breaking ball. Brooks, nice pitch. I think Crossman might have been looking fastball, and it was a breaking ball.
So Saunders' second strikeout of the game is the second out for the Royals. And Cavanaugh at second base for right fielder Gaudette, looking to break the scoreless tie.
Fastball from Brooks. Saunders apparently missed with that one.
We'll go for the 0-2.
I'm sorry, he didn't miss. 0-2 count now.
So way ahead of Gaudette here, looking for the third out of the inning with a runner on second base, and that ball is popped straight up. The catcher Van Snick will settle under that one for the third out of the inning.
They've got to start taking some pitches.
And the Royals maybe look for a little more patience at the plate to get Saunders working a little harder. We'll go to the 5th inning at Royals Field with the score still tied at 0.
We're the last Lannisters. Whatever stands in our way, we will defeat it.
I was born to rule the 7 kingdoms, and I will.
If we don't put aside our enmities, we will die. And then it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne.
What really triggered it was one of my friends who took his own life. I started self-medicating with alcohol. I couldn't sleep. I was having constant nightmares, waking up screaming. A friend of mine referred me to the Legion. I had no idea what services they provided, but that's what eventually forced me to seek the help, and I'm glad I did. It was the best thing that I ever did.
Welcome back to the top of the 5th inning here at Royal Field. Rob, looks like we have a pitching change here for the Royals. Pascal McCarthy, who we saw here, Rob, last week throw just a gem of a game to start out against Chatham. Come on to get some work here, so we'll close the book on Colby Lyles for Fredericton. Lyles will finish the game with 5 strikeouts, no runs allowed. against 2 St. John hits.
Pascal he's had some arm problems, some issues this year. I know that last outing they were watching his pitch count fairly closely, and he threw well. He did throw extremely well. Threw hard.
So a different look as the Royals tune up for the Nationals, and as we talked about several times, we'll talk a bit about the pickups as we have warm-ups here for this inning. Of course, we talked about the Alpines pickups. O'Toole, the pitcher, Devin Thomas, and Mark Phillips from the Ironman, Chris Keating, Jeff Watkin, the catcher, import from Tecumseh, Blake Gallagher, the infielder from the Moncton Fisher Cats, Sam Lunn, Justin Cormier, Mike Ivey, Serge Vautour, and from Charlottetown, Brody McDonald. Of course, a couple of notables, Rob J.F. Naveau, the lefty, for Chatham, injured shoulder, can't go. Jordan Stevenson can't go. And for the Royals, of course, Jody Peterson not going because of prior commitments. And of course, we talked about him being the part-time player this year and hadn't put that in his plans. Aaron Johnson, also the catcher, not going. But I think with Ivey and also Watkin, certainly the Fredericton team looking good. So 11 pickups and 10 Royals players going to Nationals, truly representing Team New Brunswick and the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League.
That's a solid lineup.
With a fully New Brunswick team, solid lineup. Jay Johnson, of course, who's only pitched a few games, part of the group going amongst the Royals. Balanced in terms of hitting and pitching. Certainly the 5 left-handed starting pitchers that they can run out there: Kramer, Johnson, McDonald, London, O'Toole. If you only had to go with those 5 as your starters, you'd be pretty happy. And then righties: Cormier, McCarthy, Reed, Gaudette, Wood, and of course Lyle that we had talked about here. So Fredericton setting themselves up well for the New Brunswick representative in Nationals. Of course, they leave next Tuesday morning, and we'll have several games out there. Ground ball to third. Washburn picks that one up, and that one, Peterson and the ball and the runner all arrived at the same time.
I think Washburn might have been better off to eat that one rather than risk throwing it down the line, but that's hindsight, of course, on my part. The pickups you mentioned, Bill, the Sam Lund is the guy as a pitcher. He would be my number 1 pickup after what I saw from him at the last Nationals here. He's a gem. But again, pitching, that tournament's all about pitching. Obviously you have to score runs, but as we saw at the Nationals here, 1-0 games, 2-1 games, pitching is so important.
So the first runner on for the Alpines in Dan Taylor. That's grounded to first base. Peterson fields that one, will step on the base to retire Adam Clark. And of course, Rob, I think we mentioned it also previously, Washburn has been playing shortstop for the Royals this year, back over in maybe the more natural position of third base. So good to get him this game in here, where he may actually be playing more third as we go to Nationals than shortstop.
True enough, and when they decide on the lineup with the pickups involved as well, whether they interchange Tanner, Banks, and Washburn, but there's other players in the mix as well from other teams. They get a lot of options, that's for sure.
That's for sure. The 2, of course, here pickups for St. John: Devin Thomas, Mark Phillips, corner infielders here tonight. Justin Cormier can play shortstop. Blake Gallagher can play shortstop.
Those are all top-notch guys too. That's a solid team. That's probably one of the more balanced teams I've seen go, especially with that much pitching. But you can never have too much pitching in a national tournament.
And as we've seen so many times at those tournaments, absolutely anything can happen. Ground ball, McCarthy thinks about second, goes to first to retire catcher Van Snick on the 1-3. And here we see here
.242 hitter, Van Snick. Got 1 home run on the year. 62 at bats.
Pardon me, that was Adam Clark. This is Van Snick here at the plate.
Snick with 1 home run on the year. And this is a hitter-friendly park, obviously. The short porches on the lines. See, Pascal's getting into, I think he's going to start to overthrow. He started that later on in his last start against Chatham. Threw very well, but then he started to overthrow. And he's missing now with that, as he's getting a little bit upset with the umpire. I think he's got to just concentrate on throwing strikes.
3 balls, no strikes. Van Taylor standing on second base for the Alpines. 1 out here in the top of the 5th inning.
You don't want to play with fire. You don't want to put this guy on. There's a strike. That's what he has to do. These guys aren't going to, they're not going to run the score up on you by any means. They're not a real high-powered offensive team, so he's got to come right at them. You give them the walks, they'll take them. That one just missed. I'd say it must have been inside, but McCarthy didn't like it. So 2 runners on for St. John at this point. 1 out.
Haven't talked a lot about the strike zone of home plate umpire Mark Thornton tonight, Rob, so it's been fairly consistent, we would think. Of course, McCarthy not liking a couple of the calls there, and certainly never expect perfection from an umpire. Consistency is what you look for.
That's why we play the games. That's why they're out there, right? These guys.
So
There's no glory in it, that's for sure.
Runners first and second, top of the order back around for St. John. Scott May, 0 for 2 so far in the game. Ground out unassisted to first for the putout and a 6-4.
I might tend to, no, I called that wrong. I was going to say I might tend to bring Washburn in at third a little bit, but he's got 2 strikes on him now, so we're not going to see a bunt at this point.
So McCarthy ahead of May. St. John threatening to break this scoreless tie. May is set. McCarthy delivers.
Struck him out on a fastball. High fastball.
Second out of the inning. Here is Jack Shannon, 0 for 2 against Lyle earlier in the game. Ground out to second and a swinging strike out. Certainly could deliver a big base hit here for the Alpines to break this tie.
Inside there, the breaking ball, hard breaking ball.
And Rob, as the league does break next week to go to nationals, guys like Shannon that are maybe a little banged up can get a little bit of rest going into the playoffs. But of course, this game still of importance would determine whether that first start, which you would expect to go to Shannon, will occur here at Royals Field or whether that would be in St. John at Memorial Field.
McCarthy just uncorked a wild pitch that allowed the runners to advance. So we now have runners on second and third, 2 out.
Taylor at third, Van Snick, the runner, at second. Number 2 hitter, the designated hitter, import Jack Shannon.
Nice fastball there. I don't think Shannon liked that much.
Doesn't say a lot about it.
Stepped a little high, but he had a little glance for the umpire there.
And that hits him to load the bases, so a hit by pitch.
Hit him on the hand, I believe, at the grip.
This has been certainly an interesting inning.
Coach Mike Lint coming out to have a chat with the umpire.
Maybe arguing that might have been a foul ball, potentially, or that he didn't attempt to get out of the way of it, one of the two.
Well, if it hit his hand, you would have thought you'd seen more of a response. If you got a fastball like that in on the hands, I tend to think it might have just hit the bat, but I'm not the umpire.
And here we'll have a good look at this, Rob. See if we can get a look at where that hit.
What was it, the jersey possibly?
Boy, it's tough to tell where it hit. It certainly hit him somewhere on that, but real tough to take a look. Maybe the elbow protection? Real tough to tell on that one.
Yeah, it looked like it. Yeah, that's what it hit. It looked like it hit the sleeve. I thought it was on the hands originally.
So, bases loaded here for Devin Thomas. 2 out. St. John looking to strike first here. Thomas, 2 strikeouts against Lyle earlier in the game. Pascal McCarthy ahead of him here.
Definitely one would be nice here.
That ball's hit sharply back up the middle to shortstop Tanner Ranks, who gobbles the ball up and steps on second base for the unassisted putout. So after an interesting inning, St. John leaves the bases loaded, and we remain scoreless as we go to the bottom of the 5th.
There's something I have to show you.
Get the ultimate entertainment experience with the Movie Network. Let's go! We got the latest releases and the hottest stars. Wow. But it gets even better. Oh my God. Now with the TMN Go app, you can download the biggest movies.
Hi, boy.
Plus groundbreaking HBO series.
Yeah!
And watch anytime, anywhere.
I'm ready.
No internet connection needed.
Wait, what?
It's all included with your subscription to the Movie Network.
Everybody come along, everybody sing a song, lighten up and carry on. It's a brand new day. Everybody come along, everybody sing a song, lighten up and carry on. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day.
DH Devin Boudelier, shortstop Tanner Banks, and left fielder Dave Bahr due up for the Royals here in the bottom of the 5th. Rob, so far the story has been missed opportunity of this game. St. John, 5 runners left on so far, Fredericton 4. No score here, not a lot of hits. Very competitive ball game, certainly a good start, and 4 innings by Colby Lyles of Fredericton, and Brooks Saunders is back out here for the 5th, so he will keep going. And as you mentioned, maybe a little more patience on the Fredericton batters. Make Brooks work a little bit more here in this inning and see if maybe they can drive him out of the game or find a little bit more success than they have.
He's done basically what he needs to do. He's thrown it across the plate. They're grounding out. They're flying out. He's got a solid defense behind him, and he knows it.
And certainly, as we had the pregame ceremony here, he grew up just a few doors down, of course, from the Estes, and would certainly have a little bit extra emotion going here tonight himself after that speech by Jamie, who goes into the Royals Hall of Fame here tonight. Boudelier with the ground ball, second base, bobbled.
And that one may come back to haunt them.
So number 9 hitter reaches for the second time. He walked in the 3rd, and here we see Boudelier with the ground ball, beats it into the dirt to second base, and there we see second baseman Taylor not really moving over to get in front of that one, correct, Rob? Just maybe a little too casual on that play.
Yes, I think that's what it was, and I see a pinch runner coming in. Shane Kramer coming in to pinch run at first. Good job by Taylor. The number 9 hitter got on 2 at-bats in a row and brings up the top of the order.
Fredericton import pitcher Shane Kramer. Of course, Kramer's played in the field more this year than I would have expected based on him, his record last year, of course. Into pinch run here. And Kramer, very familiar with the pickoff move, one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. Probably not going to steal here. You're not likely to send your ace pitcher on a stolen base at this point but again, this is another situation that could happen at Nationals for the Royals, as they could be looking to use the pitcher in a pitch running situation. However unlikely it may be that you would do that, but you never know.
You never know what you're going to have to do, depending on injuries. Things happen. You never know at those tournaments. You have to adjust, and that's why depth is so important.
And Banks looking to get down the sacrifice, and that could go as a base hit. A nice play by Brooks Saunders on the shovel.
Just got him at first. We'll have to see the replay on that one, hopefully.
Saunders out on the 1-3 sacrifice. Quickly off the mound, and here you see Saunders with a nice underhand toss. And that is a close play at first base.
Doesn't get any closer.
Banks barely out on the sacrifice.
I think that was the correct call. Just barely, but.
Advances the runner Kramer to second base, and good motion on the St. John infield to keep third base covered. I know Kramer had a look at that as he rounded second, just making sure that was covered at third. Brings up Dave Bahr, been on twice on two fielders' choices. Stranded both times.
It's popped up.
For the shortstop behind second base, Clark.
And here, Triple Crown looks like the winner.
And here we see Bahr just gets underneath that one, and he knows it right off the bat. Adam Clark a few steps back at the very end to collect that one.
See them shifting the outfield right now. They're going to put him on. They're going to issue a walk, intentional walk here to Washburn. With Jody Peterson coming up, that won't make Jody happy. He'll take that as a disrespectful.
Wow, it's tough to pitch to a guy that's hitting almost 440.
Yep.
For sure, regardless of who's on deck.
Well, you want to have a shot at the double play, right?
Well, don't need a double play with two out, but certainly would put any bag in play for the tag out. Left-handed hitting Peterson in against Saunders.
And we know what Jody's thinking here. But he's got to be patient. Patience is what he needs here.
And Peterson did have a home run in the July 28th game where he was 2 for 3 against Saunders, certainly with 2 RBIs in that game as well. So Peterson has made Saunders pay once before. We'll be looking to do that again here tonight in this last home game and last game on the schedule in the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League regular season.
Breaking ball in the inside corner, first strike.
You got to think Peterson will be looking fastball here all the way.
Yeah, and I would think that Brooks would be avoiding it if he throws another break ball, and that's hitting the gap.
That's it. That's the gapper.
That's going to score one. That's going to score 2.
Rounds third. Washburn rounds third. Peterson into second for the stand-up double.
Clutch hitting by Jody Peterson. But that's one of those times where you issue a walk to a guy, take your chances on the next hitter, and it comes back to bite you.
So Peterson makes some pay just as the rain starts to fall here in Fredericton. Puts the Royals up by 2, drawing first blood here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Rob, hopefully this is just a light shower coming in.
Hopefully. It looks it. We do need the rain, but not right at this point.
Corey Wood 0 for 2 so far in the game, up Peterson on second.
That was a breaking ball Jody hit, surprisingly. He hit it sharply to the gap between left center. Nice piece of hitting. And Brooks looks a little tired. He looks like he might be getting a little sluggish there right now.
And certainly would want to be careful here to Wood. Wood capable of hitting the ball over the fence and has been very hot and had a big cut at that 3-0 pitch.
Yeah, he wasn't going to get cheated there, that's for sure.
Another guy just hit one off the right field fence for a single.
And that ball is
hit hard. That
to
could be
left field, and that's...
Oh, it carried, but he caught it in the warning track.
The third out of the inning. They fly out to Legier. We saw Wood hit one very similar for a home run here in the last broadcast. The Royals score 2 in the bottom of the 5th during a light rain shower, and we'll come back with St. John trailing into the 6th inning.
You sure about this, Captain?
How do you mean?
We don't know what's out there.
Let's give him a good show.
It's dancing.
Is dancing like... Ow! What was that? What was that?
She's the monster.
Tune in Sunday and cruise through New Brunswick's trails with a first-hand view from a quad vehicle. Learn about new trails and clubs for the ATV enthusiast. Quad NB, Sunday at 2 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Four, 5, and 6 batters due up for the St. John Alpines. Mark Phillips, Ron Barton, and Mark Legier due up. Alpines looking to get on the board after allowing 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th to the Royals. Rob taking advantage of an error and the intentional walk, and certainly Peterson made them pay for that with the 2-run double for the only runs of the game here so far in this game that decides second place and home field advantage in the semifinal series.
That situation that they put Washburn on him to pitch to Jody, you were putting on a 3-time Triple Crown winner and facing a 2-time Triple Crown winner at the same time coming up after him. So there was pretty much a no-win situation. And we saw the result, which is the Royals are up 2-0.
And I think that has action now in the Alpines bullpen, so that may be it for Saunders for the night. Rob?
I wouldn't be surprised.
We do have Pascal McCarthy back to the mound here for the Royals in the top of the 6th here.
Best thing Pascal could do would be just come right at them with the fastball and just keep coming at them.
And that is a very late rain falling, but we'll have to watch that as the game progresses here through the next couple of innings to see if it does become an issue in the conditions or a factor in the play at all.
Ball's hit high.
That's a fly ball to right to Gadet. Retire Mark Phillips for the first out here in the 6th. Centerfielder Barton reached on a walk in the 4th and grounded out to second in the 2nd.
Everybody clap your hands.
McCarthy sets. Ready to go to the second batter here in the top of the 6th.
I would expect he'll come right at them. Nice pitch on a little bit slider, came in on the outside corner. Strike 1. A healthy McCarthy going to the Nationals would be a big boost for the Royals as well. When he's on his game, he's a very effective pitcher.
And even looking just a little bit past those, Rob, into the playoffs. Of course, St. John, you've got O'Toole and Shannon as the 1-2. In Fredericton, certainly Kramer is the number 1. McCarthy may be the number 2 behind that. Gadet, Lyle. That's sort of the question for Fredericton. Have a number of arms they can throw out there. Is the number 2 in the pitching depth good enough to get them through this semifinal against St. John and the pitchers that they trot out there? And that's sort of been the question for Fredericton all year. Is who's the pitchers behind Kramer and are they enough?
It's been a bit of a pitch by committee. And McCarthy again. I'm not sure if his volleyball has an effect. He's a university level volleyball player. Tall, lanky guy, good hitter on the volleyball court. And I don't know if that has an effect on his shoulder or his arm, or if it's baseball has an effect on that. I'm not sure which, but I know he's had some moments where he's been a little bit worried about the condition of his arm.
And of course, we're talking about all quality arms. It's more an experience factor, and have they been there, have they done that, and how much more learning that they need to do in this league. Certainly looking forward to the future of this Royals team. If you look at those guys as anchors to a pitching staff for a number of years to come, it's pretty strong. That ball is spanked to center field by Barton off the glove of center fielder Wood.
Looks like a double. It's a pretty tough play. The ball carried.
Next up for St. John, left fielder number 8, Mark Legier.
Very sharply hit up the middle.
I'll go with you on the double on that one. Here we have a good look at that. There you see the falling rain, and that's a high outside pitch. And Wood with the long run, and a little bit of jump on that in the rain, and he doesn't get that ball. Collects it pretty quick, and a strong arm back in to second, and Barton already standing there.
McCarthy bringing the ball well tonight, throwing hard. But this is a situation where the last coverage we did here with him against Chatham, he struggled a little and it tended to get to him. He started shaking his head at the umpire a little bit and things like that.
So St. John has had 6 or 7 runners here tonight. They haven't been able to advance any. Only one as far as third, and certainly none into the plate.
Yeah, they had 3. The inning before last, they had 3 runners on 1 hit. So, and Royals got out of it. So,
the wind picking up here a little bit more at Royals Field.
Blew a fastball by him there.
And the rain picking up also a little bit more up. So this
Yeah,
weather
it does look like
may become a bit more of a factor. It wasn't supposed to arrive, I don't think, until closer to midnight here in Fredericton. From an environmental standpoint, we will absolutely take the rain. From a get this baseball game in standpoint, we would hope it would just stay at this level for the next hour or so as we finish up the game. Maybe not even that. Give us a good 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's playable. That's for sure. It's not hasn't gotten to that point yet.
And certainly kudos to the tough Rogers crew are hanging by the cameras, all draped in plastic.
Well, it was an inside pitch, close. I would say a message to get off the plate there by McCarthy.
Runs the count to 3-2. Barton on the double off Corey Wood's glove. On at second. And Legier strikes out for the 3rd time in the game.
Certainly McCarthy would like to leave Mr. Barton at second base standing there and get out of this scoreless. He's got 2 out. And after that error at second base, I would expect he'd like to make up for that.
Yes, that big error to start the inning to put runners on in front of the big Fredericton bats. And Peterson made them pay for that error and the intentional walk. And Taylor gets that one right off the helmet. Boy, that's a dangerous play there. Fastball just got away. Maybe a little bit of moisture on the ball, on the hand from the rain. Certainly absolutely unintentional.
Definitely not intentional.
And a scary play nonetheless, but doesn't seem any worse for wear.
No, and it's a good sign that those helmets are well made. I would say that.
You don't see a lot of guys take one off the noggin like that and just casually walk down to first base like Taylor did. That's toughness for sure.
And McCarthy's throwing hard, so. I had the misfortune of be playing a midget game and seeing a guy hit by a pitch in the helmet. And when he went to the ground, the pain, he felt it all in his leg, but it was actually just signals from the brain from being hit. As a midget age player, it was quite a thing to see. But it worked out in the end. He was able to come out of it, and I think a mild concussion, which is not good, but better than what it could have been, obviously.
Shortstop Adam Clark, 0-for-2 on the night.
This is what McCarthy fell into the other night against Chatham. He started to, I don't know if he's trying to do too much, but he started throwing a lot of balls in the dirt, which makes Cavanaugh all that much more important because he blocked a ton of balls in that game against Chatham.
And mentally for a pitcher, after taking one to the batter's head, certainly would be doing everything you can to try to avoid that high fastball. So a reset there for McCarthy. I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to throw as he is a little bit wild. You'd have maybe a quick visit from Coach Clint just to give him that reset.
Well, as a pitcher, as a former pitcher myself, I know after you do that, you do tend to, it's not that you worry, but you don't want to come back and do it again, that's for sure. Again, there's a stellar play by Cavanaugh to pick that out.
There we see again, he's certainly staying away after a hit by pitch to the helmet.
And keeping the ball low, which is a good thing, but not that low, unfortunately.
And Rob, just have a look here, see if he checks that runner at second. I'm not sure he did on the last pitch. I think he just delivered it home, and there is the good look down to second.
He's throwing that ball away. He's got to bear down. When they're getting away from Cavanaugh, they're way off because he's defensively. He was the last game I saw him catch McCarthy. Nothing went by him that I saw.
And here we have Lind out, Coach Lint for the Royals out for the meeting on the mound. Won't be real happy that he has to walk out there, certainly in the rain, but needs to go out, settle down McCarthy on the mound.
And they are going to go to Reed. We were just discussing that off mic, whether.
Number 24, Sean Reed.
Our Daily Gleaner sports editor, Bruce Hallahan, here, he called that one.
So
Four outs.
Reed again into a role that he would likely see at Nationals as the shutdown man, closer, whatever you may want to call it. He's likely to be a reliever there. Certainly is capable of starting. We saw that here last year in the final to wrap it up against the Moncton Fisher Cats.
A hard thrower too.
And Rob, on the Fisher Cats, that's a team who turned around a 4-game losing streak to win 2 against Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown Islanders, to secure a home field advantage in that 4-5 game. Justin Cormier, the big game on the island to secure it for the Fisher Cats. No runs on 4 hits in the 7 innings, I believe, in that game. And then Sam Lund, as we've talked about earlier tonight, in the game back in Moncton, when really the standings and home field was already set, to put Moncton on a 2-game winning streak going into the playoffs. And that will be a heck of a series, that 4-5 series. Cormier and Lund versus Stevenson and McDonald in PEI. Moncton bats maybe a little stronger than Charlottetown. Scoring runs been Charlottetown's issue most of the year, but certainly I would not want to have to go into a short series with the prospect of facing Stevenson and McDonald maybe a couple times each in that. But again, from a scheduling perspective, things are working out very well from even the travel perspective in that round. Moncton and Charlottetown, of course, as close as you can get a team to play in Charlottetown. So the travel not as big of a factor as it would have been someone like Fredericton for that first round series against the island. But of course, everyone wants to avoid that, so you don't have to play that and save your pitching arms for the semifinals.
Exactly. And I don't, this season was a bit of an oddity for Charlottetown. After last year, they surprised a lot of teams. This year, they weren't expected to be as much of a surprise. We knew they were good. That should be a heck of a series. I don't see there's not going to be a bad one in the playoffs this year. These teams are all tight. Oh, and he hits him in the back right between the numbers. That pitch. And that'll bring a run across. Not what he wanted to do. We have a 2-1 ball game. Bases loaded. Definitely not intentional again.
So the second hit by pitch this inning, Reed maybe overthrowing, gets that up and in. Again, high on these St. John batters. Certainly absolutely not unintentional. We have a pinch hitter here. Brandon McQuaid into the game for the Alpines. Alpines with 2 out, bases loaded. Scratch across a run here so far, looking for much more against Fredericton fireballer Sean Reed.
There's a strike.
There's a strike, 2-1.
That's the fastball. They've got to come right at them. These walks are going to come back to bite you.
Ground ball, third base. Washburn gobbles that up, steps on the bag to end the inning. St. John leaves them loaded. A couple hit by pitches on the part of the Royals. St. John scores 1 run. We will go to the bottom of the 6th with St. John trailing by that score of 2-1.
Again, 1 hit.
Bladder cancer. It's the 5th most common cancer in Canada. The most common symptom of bladder cancer is blood in the urine. Please, don't ignore this warning sign. If you see red, see your doctor. For information and support, visit cred.ca.
Tune in to Rogers TV this Sunday to get your exclusive inside look at the operation of the Magnetic Hill Zoo in Moncton. Host Hilary LeBlanc brings you behind the scenes and up close with the animal stars of this attraction. Zoo Files, Sunday at 2:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Cavanaugh, Crossman, and Gaudette due up for the Royals in the bottom of the 6th inning here on Rogers Television. Light rain continues to fall here in Fredericton. With Rob Arnold, I'm Bill Gibson. Rob, St. John again, a bit of missed opportunity in terms of runners left on base.
Yeah, they managed only 1 hit again that inning, but they did get the base runners, and they did that 2 innings in a row. And now they've got a new pitcher in, Justin McQuaid, taking over for Brooks Saunders. Got a 2-2 record, the 2.25 ERA. 16 innings pitched. He's given up 8 hits, 6 walks, and he 14 strikeouts in 16 innings, so he's not
Big congratulations to our 50-50 winner tonight, Miriam Ryan. Congratulations.
Catcher Cory Cavanaugh first up here for the Royals.
He's quietly gone about putting up another solid defensive effort tonight.
And single and double.
Yep,
as well.
So a good night for Cory Cavanaugh. I'm sure he'd hope to continue that with this at bat. Quick coming the fastball. Got by Cavanaugh. He got a good hack at it.
Seems to get way back on delivery. Comes straight over the top on that one.
Yeah, thrown from the stretch as well. That was a big hook on that one. Again, Cavanaugh swung and a miss.
Cavanaugh in the 0-2 hole.
See more and more guys throwing from the stretch as opposed to a full windup these days.
That one's popped up on the infield. And bounce fair and goes foul. Of course,
unless it made contact.
Didn't go past first base unless someone touched that one. That should be a foul ball.
That's a foul ball as long as nobody touched it. If there was contact, it's a fair ball, no question. I don't believe they touched it. That's a foul ball. I think they'll get that straightened out. Yeah.
Little confusion there on the infield for the Alpines. Maybe a ball that should have been caught. Tough play for the catcher. Certainly, if the first baseman can make that grab, that's the guy you want to take that if he can get there.
And the pitchers usually are the last guy you want in there, and he was in there as well in the mix, I believe. But they're lucky it didn't make contact. Otherwise, Cavanaugh would be on first right now instead of back at the plate with another.
Cavanaugh maybe with another life here after popping that one up.
Another breaking ball. Different sort of pitch. Looks like he has some junk there. Gaylord Perry style junk.
It's probably a younger crowd, Rob. I'm not sure how many people will get the Gaylord Perry references.
Gaylord was checked for everything from nail files to Vaseline on the tip of his hat. He had more tricks than Pearly the Magician.
Cavanaugh hits that one into right field. Center fielder actually takes that ball.
That was a long at bat.
So Cavanaugh retired for the first time. 1 for 3 now. Pardon me, 2 for 3 on the evening. Crossman to the plate. Single in the second and struck out in the fourth. Of course, they both against Saunders.
Crossman's hitting at a 315. He's carrying a 315 average right now. Solid at the plate. 8 RBIs, but he does have 23 hits on the season. He's in the top 5 on the Royals team.
Catcher Van Snick out for a visit as we have the wind picking up here, along with steady rain falling, but very light rain. Again, this playoff preview, so these are situations these teams will find themselves in the semifinal in a week's time, 2 weeks' time maybe. Two balls, no strikes. Crossman ahead here. 1 out, bottom of 6. Check swing does not go.
Held back. Oh, now they.
One guy saying no and one guy called it a strike.
Confusion there as
So
to.
you must know you had the wrong call.
Didn't look like he went from here, but again.
First base umpire, as Coach Lynn is pointing out, certainly said no swing, but I think home plate umpire called that a strike.
Coach Sibley coming out as
Coach
well.
Sibley coming out to retrieve Coach Lynn. Not really worth arguing there. Here we see the replay. Hey, it doesn't look like a swing there. Home plate umpire called it a strike, did not call for the appeal. he called that a swinging strike right off the go, and certainly to me did not look like a swinging strike on that replay.
First base umpire waved it off as that he didn't go. That was the confusion, I think.
I think the first base umpire thought the catcher was appealing and that the umpire at home plate was going to ask for the appeal as well, and instead he was making the strike sign in what didn't look like a strike to me.
Well, considering the batter's head was turned back this direction, I don't think he was swinging. But again, that's the umpire's call, not ours, I guess.
Now the 3-1 count. That should actually now be 3-2, I believe. That ball is hit to center field. Center fielder Barton settles underneath that one for the easy fly out. Crossan retired on the F8. So 2 fly balls to center field here in the inning for McQuaid, keeping the score 2-1 in favor of Fredericton. Right fielder Nick Gadet to the plate, 0 for 2 here.
Sure, he'd like to start a 2-out rally if possible. 2-1's not much of a lead. Not in Royals Field.
And there's a strike. Ahead 0-2. Looking to set down the Royals here in the bottom of the 6th. Give the St. John, heart of the St. John order with Jack Shannon, Devin Thomas, Mark Phillips coming up in the 7th. And of course, that's who you would want up in the Alpines camp.
Is that your 2, 3, 4 hitters for St. John?
That would be the 2, 3, 4 hitters. And Shannon, of course, the home run heroics in the semifinal. Pardon me, so not the semifinal, the second game of the double hitter last game. So no stranger to drama coming up late off the inning.
Looks like McQuaid's having a little problem getting that breaking ball across the plate. He was doing well earlier, now it seems to be breaking outside on him.
I think maybe trying to get Chase there a little bit, Rob, up 0-2 and 2 out, nobody on, and may do that a couple more times. Gets him looking instead, not Chase. So 2 fly ball outs to center field and a strikeout looking for the Royals in the bottom of the 6th. Top of the 7th, St. John needs a run to keep the game going, and we'll be right back with that inning.
Tune in this Monday and pin it for a high-octane, behind-the-scenes look at the sport of motocross right here in the Maritimes. Host Jimmy Chamberlain is a seasoned vet and knows his way around and off the track. It's the Age of Motocross, Monday at 8:30 p.m. on Rogers TV.
Fredericton Royals 3 outs away from clinching home field advantage in the semifinal series against these same St. John Alpines in second place in the league. So St. John needs a run here in order to at least keep the game alive and send us to the bottom of the inning. Of course, no better group coming up for St. John than the ones they have coming to the plate in 2, 3, 4, Shannon, Thomas, and Phillips, Rob.
This is the part of the order that St. John wants up there for sure. Now, if I'm Sean Reed, the last thing I want to do is issue a walk. Well, or a home run, obviously, but he needs to come right at him. The home plate umpire is becoming a little bit more less popular. I should say a little less popular by the inning here for some reason. A couple of questionable calls, and now both teams are complaining.
Hasn't really been giving that high strike that last pitch, the first pitch here to Shannon in this inning, but
He chased one there.
The outside strikes certainly have been there.
Yeah, he's willing to give that outside corner, so I guess it's a give and take. As long as they're consistent is all you can ask. They can be good or they can be, what you determine as bad. But there's another outside corner through the slider that came in, back door.
Shannon down on the called third strike.
That was a nice pitch. Came in the back door. There was pretty much no way you could hit that. Left-handed hitter and a right-handed pitcher coming in that way.
Devin Thomas, 2 strikeouts and a ground out to third base. Of course, ended that 5th inning. The bases loaded. Washburn picked it up, stepped on the bag. That's sharply hit into right field. That's going to drop for a single.
So there's the tying run aboard. Not in scoring position as of yet, but he's at first. 1 out.
And it's been said here many times, Rob, anything can happen at Royal Field. First base may not be scoring position, but it's certainly not inconceivable that a guy like Thomas could score on some play here from first. I know we saw Dave Bahr earlier, who was disappointed that he didn't make the attempt to score from first on the long fly ball off the wall from Washburn. So it would probably take something down into that right field corner in order to get him there at this point. And you may not send him.
This is a good hitter, 350 hitter. You don't want to take the bat out of his hands either, so you got a nice curve ball, missed for a strike, swung and a strike. Phillips is a good hitter.
Reed ahead of Phillips. Phillips with a single in 3 trips here tonight. Ground ball too short. And also
sets him down on a fastball. Beautiful pitch.
St. John Alpines down to their final out here as they play for second place in the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League standings and home field advantage on the line.
He left Phillips. He froze him with that pitch. I don't think he expected to see that fastball come right down the pipe. Froze him.
So Barton, who has the double to center field and a base on balls, along with a grounder to second in 3 trips to the plate here tonight, will be the batter against Reed. Reed looking to close the door, and that's another outside strike.
Barton won't go down easy. Yeah, if an umpire is giving you that outside corner, you're crazy not to take it. It's been there all night, so I would think Mr. Reed's aware of that now at this point, so I expect with a left-handed hitter and a right-handed pitcher, he'll stay outside there.
St. John down to their last strike.
Ooh, uncorked what could have been a wild pitch, but Cavanaugh got the glove up.
Devin Thomas representing the tying run on first base. Ron Barton, center fielder, at the plate. And Sean Reed delivers.
Oh, he almost checked that.
Thought about that one, for sure. Evens the count at 2s.
Awful close pitch to take at this point with 2 strikes.
Reed maybe go back up there one more time.
The breaking
back
ball.
Back up the box, off of Reed.
And that'll do it.
That is gobbled up.
Nice play.
At second base by second baseman Crossman for the 3rd out of the inning. Final score here will be Fredericton 2, St. John 1. That will clinch home field advantage and second place for the Royals in the New Brunswick Senior Baseball League playoffs. Of course, they're off to Nationals next week with all their pickups. We certainly hope you've enjoyed this broadcast and all the rest that you've had here on Royals this year. We would look forward to any feedback you have. For everyone at Rogers Television, including co-host Rob Arnold, I'm Bill Gibson. We hope you have a great night and a great weekend, and get out and watch some of the playoff baseball that's upcoming in this province.
Stay classy, Fredericton.
Due to the length of the preceding program, we now join the regularly scheduled program already in progress.